welcome to a sit-down chat. I'm drinking some tea here. So this is going to be a little bit different, obviously not a vlog, and this is going to be an FAQ. So I posted on my Instagram and asked you guys to ask me some questions about grad school or just about life in general, and then I also lumped in some questions that I've been seeing in my comments or that other people have asked me or that I feel like I was curious about. So this is sort of everything all in one: questions about grad school first, FAQ about grad school, and then second, questions just sort of about me and my personal life. So if you're not interested in grad school, skip to the second half, and if you're only interested in the grad school content, don't really care about my personal life, feel free to tune out whenever this stops feeling interesting to you. So let's just get right into it. So first, I have been asked a lot how much money I make as a grad student. So I don't want to go ahead and put my exact stipend out there, but I will say that PhDs tend to be much more funded than master's programs based on my research, and you make a bit more money when you're going to school to get your PhD rather than just a master's. And specifically in English, I have seen programs range anywhere from $12,000 on the lower end if you're living somewhere more rural. It's $12,000 a year, so you do the math, not a whole lot of money. All the way up until like $27,000, $28,000 for the pricier areas, probably in the Northeast. And I'm making somewhere happily in the middle, more or less. Second question, how much does it cost to apply to grad school? So depending on how many schools you're applying to, if you're applying to anywhere between 5 and 10 schools, which I think is pretty average for applying to PhD/master's programs in English, you should be prepared to spend right around $1,000. That is how much I spent when I applied to my 7 or 8 schools, I don't remember exactly. And that sort of includes everything. Application fees can range anywhere from $50 to like $95. You have to pay to send your GRE scores, you have to pay to send your transcripts, you have to pay to visit the schools, but that $1,000 isn't even including the pay to visit the schools necessarily. And all those things just really add up. Sending transcripts, sending GRE scores, doing the actual application fee. So you're gonna want to set aside a good chunk of change if you're planning on applying to grad school. Okay, how many pages a week do I read? This is something that I think a lot of like older folks like my parents and my parents' friends ask me, and it totally depends on the semester. If you are in a really literature heavy semester, so for example my first year of grad school I was taking like all literature classes, in fact no rec comp classes, and I was reading an insane amount. You were reading like 3 novels a week, so sort of do the math there, that's like 1,000 pages a week. But now this semester I'm only taking 2 classes, just 8 credits, and they're both rhetoric and composition classes, and really I'm only reading between 2 and 3 articles a week, so that's ranging anywhere from like 75 to maybe 150 pages. So again, really depends on the semester. The next question, how many pages do you write in a semester? Again, totally depends on the semester. Last semester I had a final paper that was between 30 and 40 pages. That's the longest paper I've ever written in grad school. But my first semester I was again taking 3 classes, which I was doing like my first 3 semesters I believe I took 3 classes. So if you have a final paper for each of those 3 classes and the final paper is roughly 15 pages, 15 times 3, you're already at 45. So that's sort of a lot, and that's just including final papers. Typically in my classes I'll have sort of like a midterm assignment as well, not like an exam or anything, but like maybe the midterm assignment would be like a book review or a conference length paper or some type of proposal or something like that. So those are pages that are also being included, or that also add to that page count as well. So again, if you are planning to get your PhD in English, you probably already know this, but you should be prepared to write a lot. Next question, what were my GRE scores and what were my grades in undergrad and in grad school? So again, I'm not gonna put my exact scores out there because I don't know, I think that can be sort of problematic, and just because I had these scores doesn't mean that these are the scores that you need to get in. I'm sure people have higher scores and got rejected, or people have lower scores and probably will still get in. I will say that I am not a super great test taker. I have a lot of test anxiety. Taking the GRE was really nerve-wracking for me. Math for GRE, if you're getting a PhD in English, does not matter at all, at least from what I know. So I got like 40th or 50th percentile in math because I hadn't taken it since my freshman year of college. And that's when I was like adding fractions and it wasn't even like real math stuff. And then the reading portion, I didn't do as well as I wanted to. And I do regret not taking the GRE again, honestly. It was gonna be too much for me, like emotionally, and it was pretty expensive. It was like $200 to take the GRE, to like put in the energy to taking it again and studying for it again. So I just decided it wasn't worth it. But I really think I could have just done some stuff to calm my nerves down, and I would have just done better the second time. Not to mention it was like really far away. The drive there was crazy. I was just like anxious for a lot of reasons going into it. But besides the point, in reading, I think I got somewhere in the 80th percentile. I truly don't remember. Part of me wants to say like 88th percentile, but it could have been lower than that. And then for writing, I did much better in writing. I got somewhere in the 90th percentile. Writing for GRE is a little bit weird. You just write like, you just type up an essay on the spot, which is not my strong suit at all. I'm really bad at timed writing. Got something in the 90th percentile, like I said, maybe 95, somewhere around there. And then grades. So in undergrad, I did very well in school. I was a very anxious student, so I actually had a 4.0 in undergrad, which like obviously I'm proud of that, but like I'm not proud that I drove myself so crazy to get that. And I probably sacrificed just like a social life in order to get that GPA, and I probably would have been just fine applying to grad school with like a 3.7 or a 3.8. And then in grad school, grades just really don't matter nearly as much, because I guess it's important to do well in undergrad because you want to have this higher GPA for when you apply to grad school, for when you put it on your resume and get a job or something like that. But in grad school, like no one is ever going to ask my GPA, so I truly don't even know my GPA. I know the grades that I've gotten each semester have been some variation of an A. I think I've gotten one, yes, I've gotten one A- my first semester in a literature class, and the rest have been A's. I got an A+ last semester, which was wild. I didn't even know that happened in grad school. But in so many of the classes, it's just like the professors give everyone an A. I'm not really thinking with grades in mind for grad school. What has been my favorite class so far? So my favorite class was actually a literature class, oddly enough, and it was a literature class I took my first semester of grad school, a class that I wasn't supposed to be in, but the rhetoric class I was supposed to be in happened to fill up because a lot of students happened to accept in my cohort. So I don't know, it was sort of like we had to spread things out a little bit because there wasn't enough seats in classes because we were such a large incoming cohort. So my first class was actually a post-colonial literature class, and it was like African American literature, and it was very contemporary. So we were reading stuff like only from the 2000s and on, I think. And that class was just phenomenal. The conversations we had in that class are things that still stick with me. It was like every class, I was so excited to go to that class. The professor was incredible, asked the best questions, was just amazing at facilitating discussion. The readings were so awesome. It was like primarily novels, but it wasn't like one novel a week. We were able to like slowly go through it, and we would spend like 2 weeks on a novel, so we could like be assigned maybe like 80 pages from class to class. The next question is, what was my least favorite class in grad school? So my least favorite class was also one that I took my first semester of grad school, so there were a lot of emotions going on there. A lot of highs, a lot of lows. And it was another literature class. So IU requires us to have like a certain number of pre-1800s literature courses and post-1800s literature coursework. So that's basically like exactly what it sounds like. Literature that focuses on the time period before the 1800s, literature that focuses on after. So I am someone who is like 1,000,000 times more interested in like contemporary stuff. All the stuff I did in undergrad, aside from one random Shakespeare course, was all super contemporary. So I just had no knowledge going into this of like pre-1800 stuff, and a lot of the other grad students in the course were like focusing and specializing in like medieval literature or like early modern and stuff in that area, and I just was like a fish out of water. So my least favorite class, I think, was this early modern women's literature. It was awesome that it was centered on women, and that was like probably more awesome than I was able to appreciate at the time, but I just was really uncomfortable with the material. I knew nothing of the historical context, and I just didn't care nearly as much as other students did in the course. Next question, how to make friends in grad school. So I'm probably not the best person to be answering this because I really only have two best friends in grad school. One is my roommate, another one is someone who is a few years more advanced than my roommate and I in the program. So my roommate is at the same exact place. We came into the program at the same exact time. She's a few years older than I am because she had like some gap years in there. But our other friend, she was also in the field of rhetoric and composition, but she is, I think, 2 years ahead of us in the program. So she's already doing her dissertation. My roommate and I are still in coursework. And we really just all clicked, the three of us, I think, because of really common interests in like our academic subject matter. We're much more composition focused, all three of us, than like rhetoric proper focused. We're really interested in pedagogy, really interested in feminism, anti-racist literature, social justice as a whole. So I feel like there were natural connections formed there. But I do think in grad school you have to, I mean, and I think this is true whenever you move into any new setting, a new city, when you start college in general, you have to go out of your way to make friends a little bit. You have to put yourself out there. When there's sort of like these grad school events and they seem like social hours, like obviously don't feel obligated to go to every single one, but like if you're turning them all down and you're wondering why you're not making friends, that might be part of it. So try and check out some of those things as well. But also keep in mind that like grad school is just like a little more isolating, I think, than college. College is like really social, and I don't really have that in grad school. I just have two really close friends, and I think that's okay. I'm a lot busier in grad school than I was in college, and I think the older you get, you tend to not want to like hang around people that like are so dissimilar from you, or that, I don't know, just eat up a little more of your energy. And in grad school you just sort of, and I think in adulthood in general, you just sort of choose more wisely who your friends are. Next question is about undergrad. Where did I go? What did I major in? What did I minor in? And do I keep in touch with my friends there? So I went to the University of Florida, go Gators. I majored in English, had a minor in linguistics, and then I got a certificate for the professions in Spanish, which is basically a minor in Spanish but aimed towards like communication rather than like language itself. And keeping in touch with my friends, so I do keep in touch with my two roommates who are my best friends in college. One roommate I lived with all 4 years of college. We lived in a dorm for the first 2 years, we lived in an apartment together for the second 2, and I don't see her nearly as much because we're sort of living in different cities now. She's a nurse, things are really busy and crazy with COVID and everything, but I still feel very close to her. I still consider her one of my best friends. The other roommate, he like texts or sends Snapchats like basically every single day. Okay, next question is, am I happy with my choice to come to IU? This is a really hard question. I think that it goes in waves. Sometimes I am very happy and I'm very grateful for, more than anything, like the people I've met. And I'm like, you know, if I would have never come here, I would have never met my two really great friends here. I would have never met some professors who I've had who've really just changed my thinking. I would have never met my therapist who's like changed my life. But then there are times where I'm really frustrated. I think everyone feels frustrated with like their university at some times. There are things that I'm frustrated with in like the department, but there are also things I'm just like frustrated with like about the university system as a whole. And sometimes it's really hard to like parse out, is this a frustration I'm having because like higher education is annoying, or is this a frustration I'm having with like Indiana University in general? And I really don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I chose the right program for my interest specifically, because like I've mentioned, I'm really interested in like writing studies and composition rather than like rhetoric proper. And IU's degree is actually a PhD in English with a concentration in just rhetoric. So it's a lot of like rhetorical theory, philosophy, history of rhetoric, and that's not what I thought I was getting, but it's so hard to know. I applied as an undergrad, didn't take any gap year, any time off. I was 21 when I was sending in these applications. I had no idea the difference between rhetoric and composition. I wish I would have talked to professors about it a little bit more. But ultimately, at this point in time, as of February 2021, I can say that I am content with my choice. I don't know if it does any good sort of dwelling and like, what if I would have gone to this place that accepted me, this place that paid me more. I was really having those thoughts a lot my first couple years of grad school, and I've stopped having them as much now because I'm just like, you know, it's not super productive. And then last question related to grad school, am I going back to Bloomington? So currently I'm in Miami, Florida. This is where my parents live. I'm actually in my childhood bedroom right now. I have been here since March of 2020, which is wild. I've almost been here a full year. And the answer is still, I am not sure. So a big reason why I didn't go back is because I was doing Invisalign here, and I still am doing Invisalign here, but I am almost done. I have like less than a month left on it, hopefully. And also I had a nephew who was born here, so it's been really awesome being able to spend time with him and just being able to spend time with family and friends here that I don't really get to see a whole lot. But I do think that we're basically going to start remodels on my house, and it's going to involve us not being able to live in my house for 3 months, and because it's going to be like this huge process. So it makes sense for me just to go back to Indiana then. We're not sure when that remodeling will start, but right now it looks like it's late spring, early summer maybe. So that would probably be a good time if I did go back to Indiana for me to actually go ahead and do it. So basically not fully sure, but leaning towards heading back late spring, early summer. Okay, shifting gears into the more personal things away from grad school. One question is, what are some things I do when I'm feeling stressed and anxious and overwhelmed, either with school or life in general? This is a good question. I try to schedule in like intentional time for rest, especially in the mornings. I'm a big fan of slow mornings. Productive mornings feel really awesome, and they're nice every once in a while, but like as much as I've tried, I just can't build them into my routine. So it's nice just to allow myself to have those slow mornings where I really just like fully enjoy my coffee. I often watch a vlog in the morning, talk to my mom. Journaling has been really great, and also making to-do lists when I'm feeling just like so overwhelmed and so anxious. Like I tend to get like when things get really busy at midterm season, when things get really busy in final season, I am like slightly neurotic about my list making, and I've talked about on this channel how like I time block things like to the hour, to the half-hour mark, and it's just really useful for me to be able to like see in front of me all the things that I have to do, and like checking something off a list is just like really excellent for me. Next question is, how am I doing? Another hard question. I think that for the most part I'm doing pretty well. COVID has been a really wild ride, and it is far from over. I try to not get too bogged down in the negative things. I think it's been really, really awesome for me to be home. I think a lot of healing has happened just in my personal life. A lot of just like rest and slowing down that was really much needed. So because of that, I think I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling pretty at peace. I'm feeling hopeful for the future. Next question, this is a fun one. If I did a Target run and I could only get 3 things, what would I get? So if you didn't know, I go to Target like once a week, like my weekend Target routine, whatever. I've also been going to Trader Joe's a lot. So 3 things at Target. I would probably get a fun makeup product that I haven't tried, or like a skincare product. I've been really into trying things from the brand Versed. Their makeup like cleanser balm is fantastic. I'd probably get a fun new shampoo. Been going through that Maui brand. I have the pink ones right now, but I really want to try some of the other ones. Are just always out of stock. And then I'm like visualizing the store in my head going through the aisles. I would probably browse through the clearance section and pick up a fun teacher top for like 10 bucks, or a cute sweater, or maybe a swimsuit top. I don't know, something fun and cheap that makes me happy. And the last question, what are my hobbies outside of school? So iPad drawing is something that is super awesome for me, and I feel like really cool that I like can make like a little bit of money off of it. I'm really into just like making videos, at least right now. YouTube has been like such a fun hobby for me, such a creative hobby. I am into just shopping in general. Love to browse around, buy some new stuff, hang out with friends. All of that is great. The one that consumes the most time and probably that brings me the most joy right now is YouTube. So that is the last question. So thanks so much for watching this FAQ video. If you have any more questions that I didn't get around to answering, go ahead and leave a comment. I try to respond to all my comments. That would be awesome. If you have any other ideas for videos, please let me know. I'm happy to make a video about anything that would be helpful for you all. Subscribe for similar content. I typically make a lot of vlogs, some sit down videos, give this video a thumbs up, all that good stuff. But yeah, that's all that I have for you guys, so see you in my next video. Bye.